Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of In the Ballpark, my international adventures edition. And can you guess where I am? Well, if you haven't been following along, I am officially in Lake Atitlán in Guatemala. It has been 9 whole years since I have been here, and you may be wondering what has actually brought me back here. Last time I recorded one of these podcast vlog editions of my travels, I was in San Diego. I had a deadline with my visa and I had to make a decision. Do I go back to Australia and start again there? Or do I continue on this journey with the hope that some opportunities around social impact will arise from me being in the region, whether that be in America or whether that be somewhere close to America, and in this circumstance, Central America. And so I decided, with a couple of days to go while I'm in San Diego, I'm going to take the leap of faith. I am going to book a flight that gets me close to Guatemala, but not quite in Guatemala. I chose Cancun. It is in a great region where there are other great sites to visit, and it can really be tailored to whatever experience you want to have. So I decided, yes, reasonable price tickets from Tijuana Airport that gives me the potential to jump across to Guatemala if any of the contacts I know there, and I know a few people there, come through. And so that was my plan. But it was quite literally a leap of faith because I had no idea what I was going to do once I got to Mexico. I didn't have any real accommodation after the first 2 nights in Cancun planned. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of a chance here. I am going to just completely wing it. I am just going to put myself in one location and I'm going to be guided, whether it's through the people that I talk to and meet, whether it's the things that I research and discover while I'm on the ground there, or if it's just following my heart, following my intuition that feels right to go to a certain location. Got the flight, landed in Mexico City. I was there for a couple of hours. By the way, Aero Mexico, great airline. Really good entertainment options. I mean, they had some really great new films, they had some awesome documentaries. I watched the documentary about Christopher Reeves, who's the original live action Superman, and just an incredible story about his horse accident, how he became paralyzed, and how him and his wife started a foundation and really inspired people with disabilities to be featured on screen, and we're talking the big screen. And just the tragic story, how he passed away and then his wife had throat cancer or was terminally ill herself and didn't know it, and then she passed away not long after. I mean, it's definitely a tough watch, but it's well worth it if you have the opportunity to watch it. And then if you've ever seen the series, I think it's Before Midnight, and then the second film is Before Sunset, and then I think they've made a third film that I haven't seen yet, but it's got Ethan Hawke, and it's about him meeting a woman on a train, and they really connect, and then they slowly fall in love as they spend time together, pretty much burning time before Ethan Hawke's character has to catch a flight back to the US. And I think the lady, Celine, is from Paris, and that's where she's traveling to. So it was just a very interesting story, and I know it's fictional, but it was just really beautiful how it was told, and definitely recommend. Shout out. Arrived in Cancun, stayed in this really nice tropical location, kind of more near their lagoon area, and then across from there is you've got I guess all the beaches, right? So I spent a day relaxing on the beach. Mentally I just needed to switch out and switch into the new. But then, on my second day, I take my malaria tablets, I order a fajita at night, and the next morning, my stomach is so violently unsettled. And I'm like, I need to catch a ferry today to an island that my friend recommended called Isla Mujeres. And it's this beautiful island about half an hour away from Cancun. It's a very small island, but it's beautiful, stunning. And if you've ever seen photos of the Caribbean Sea, it's just incredible. Just the colour of the water. That's all I'll say. But, and the sand. I mean, it's white sand. I mean, I know Australia has these kind of beaches too, but gee, the Caribbean, it's pretty, it's something. It's something. It really is pretty. So with my really badly upset stomach, I'm like, well, I need to catch this ferry, and I just couldn't keep anything down. Sorry for the details, by the way, but this is just a part of the whole crazy narrative. It was a messy experience. And so I knew I had to get the F out of there to such an extent that one night I just couldn't sleep. My stomach was so unsettled that I needed to actually admit myself into a hospital. So I went to a local hospital. I cannot speak more highly of the staff on site that night. They were incredible. They were so generous. They were really fun. Like, I was not in the best mood, but they lit me up and I felt so much better. We were joking a little bit. They put me on a drip. I was probably on the drip for about 45 minutes. They gave me some pretty heavy medication. And the diagnosis was I had a inflamed colon. And so I needed quite a lot of prescribed medication to sort of subside that sort of inflammation. These staff at this hospital were incredible. Will I go as far to say I owe my life to them? I don't know. It could have gotten much worse. So it's one of those situations when you're so far away from home and you're in such a vulnerable position, you don't take any risks. You just need to get yourself right. And especially given now how long my journey's been and how long it's going to be, that was a very good judgment call at the time. So that's what I did. I got better, got the medication, and within a couple of days, the stomach really started to get better. The other thing I really discovered quite early on when I was releasing this bad stomach bug from my system was the emotion. The emotion of leaving behind the United States after a year, leaving behind beautiful host family, beautiful friends, leaving behind all the work that I'd done over there, the things that I'd worked so hard for. Making that transition, leaving directly from there, not having the most broadest of goodbyes and then just automatically planting yourself into a new region of the world. It's such a big transition to make. And for me, I don't think I emotionally had digested that until I got really sick. And what came with that was this massive emotional withdrawal, as well as everything else in my body just saying, I need to release you. So I got better. I hired a golf cart, went around Isla Mujeres. It was fun. And so after that, I had heard from a few people that there was a city called Merida. And Merida is a city for art in Mexico. And I thought, wow, what a great opportunity to go to a place that has a lot of art, that has an art scene. Because I felt like I had enough beaches. I know, crazy, right? Never get enough beaches. But I just felt like that experience had expired and a new experience was awaiting. So I plotted it out, and a lot of people had been telling me the ADO bus, so the ADO bus, is a really reliable source of transportation in Mexico. And it is. I can vouch for that now. And so I booked a couple of buses to slowly make my way Merida. But along the way, there's quite a lot to see. So the first place I stopped in was a place called Valladolid, and it's got some great colonial buildings. It's got some beautiful cobblestone streets, and it's just got some great culture and history. And so I went there and sort of placed myself there. It's got a massive cenote in town, and a cenote, just for reference, is like a big water hole, a big swimming hole. And the way it was created, and the meteorite that actually extinct the dinosaurs actually hit the Yucatan region. And so a lot of these cenotes have been a byproduct of that impact that the meteorite had created. And now a lot of those places are getting discovered, but there are a lot that haven't been discovered yet. And that is really interesting for me to learn more about. Now, of course, one of the most famous temples is not far from Valladolid. And that is, of course, Chichen Itza, or as a lot of the locals like to joke, chicken pizza. I get it. So I went there from Valladolid, which is only about a 45-minute bus ride. And I had the option to get on a group bus and to do the tour with, a group of 60 people. I didn't feel like that was necessary for me. So I caught a bus that only the locals take. I was the only gringo on there. And I rock up to Chichen Itza and I'm like, here I am. I met with one of the guys that was there and he's like, yeah, I'll give you a tour. And I had this great one-on-one tour with a guy who just was incredible. He taught me all about the temple network and about the sacrificial sport games that they used to play in front of the crowd and the meanings of the other temples in the area, how Chichen Itza came to be, what it used to look like. It used to be painted, which was pretty crazy to see, and told me this great fact that when you clap and you're in the exact middle of the temple, when you're clapping, it sounds like a quetzal bird chirping, which was something really cool. So I really marvel at the Mayan culture. I really marvel at just the pinpoint accuracy of their astrology, their calendars, and their workmanship, their craftsmanship. I mean, it's just such extraordinary history. So I encourage all of you, if you haven't read up about them yet or haven't came to this part of the world to see these structures, there is a strong spiritual energy here that can't quite be described, but it can be felt. And to feel that strong energy when you're at these temples, it's not a negative energy, but it's a strong, intense energy too. So Chichen Itza is one of the 7 wonders of the world. So to say in my lifetime so far that I've been to 2 ancient wonders of the world, being Chichen Itza and Rome, the Colosseum, is an incredible experience. The thing is with Chichen Itza, and I'll touch on it a little bit later when I talk about some of the other Mayan ruins that I've been to, the pyramid structure is the most intact. Therefore, it's the most spectacular to take photos of, and it's the most recognizable. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it is more profound, more culturally significant, or more on a larger scale of significance compared to some of the other Mayan temples in Mexico. And sure, there are some politics involved in this, but the biggest thing I'll say about Chichen Itza being one of the 7 wonders of the world is Mexico has one of the 7 wonders of the world, meaning that people will come to Mexico to see Chichen Itza, and they should. What I really do hope is that because Chichen Itza is in Mexico, more people go, wow, this Mayan structure is beautiful, it's unique, it's spiritual, it's meaningful, it's spectacular, I've never seen anything like this before. I wonder if there's more. And with that kind of realization, I hope as a result of that, more tourists, more people that come to Mexico are deciding to go to some of these other culturally significant locations because they are just as, if not more spectacular. So is Calakmul now, and so is, Edsna, and so is so many of these other temples that I haven't even explored yet. There's so many of them, and I think to gain a full appreciation of the culture, you've got to do more than one. You just have to. So, I'm speaking to this guy and I said, okay, you've got a promo on at the moment, fantastic. He recommends getting the train from a place called Uxmal, which is known as the Yellow City because everything's painted yellow, which I love. And he said you can get the train from there to Merida. So I'm like, perfect. But he said a part of the promo is you get a train ticket from wherever you want, return for free. And I was like, okay, that's a really good deal. My heart goes to this place called Campeche. San Francisco Campeche. Funny name. Anyway, I'm like, wow, this place looks really stunning. It's got like a city fort, it's got the beach, it's got some really beautiful, vibrant streets, and it's got a Mayan temple in the region. It ticked a lot of boxes for me. And then the last line said, and an art scene, and I went, very interesting. Now he said you can do it in a day, and I said, I want to spend the night there. And I knew that it was an art city, and so we booked the tickets, got the promo, whoop-de-doo. So I booked to stay in an art gallery, and it was called Galleria Elementos, and it was run by a lady called Erica. I get to the art gallery, and it's just incredible. It's vibrant. It's so full of wonder, of beauty. It had a soul. And I'm like, how wonderful is this? The lady who owns the art gallery gave me a personalized tour of the art gallery as a social impact storyteller, as a content creator, as a documentarian. I said, Erica, you're doing so much great artwork. You're running all these programs. You are an incredible woman. You're doing so much. I need to tell your story. And she said, Michael, you are welcome to come back here as my guest anytime you want. And I said, okay. I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back. And so we planned it. Before I left Campeche, I said to her, I'm coming back. We then head to Merida. And the day I get to Merida, I'm just there for one night before going off to San Francisco, Campeche. But the one night I'm there, there is a festival going on in town. There's noise everywhere. There's street vendors. There's a big lot of people just going straight down the street towards some big event. And I'm like, what is going on here in Merida? And I realized it was a festival called Noche Blanca, which I kept thinking to myself throughout the night, everything's open. Artists are on the street. Museums are open. Restaurants are open. There are live plays spilling out of theatres onto the streets. There's buskers. There's music. There's massive street fairs. There's all of these creatives all together celebrating the night. Everything is lit up. Everything's vibrant. Everything's loud and proud and wonderful. And I'm like, this is almost like the festival in Melbourne called White Night, where everything's open. They light up Federation Square and Flinders Street and all the streets, all the bars are open. There's different live productions going on. Museums are open. Restaurants are open. I'm like, this is White Night. This is just like White Night. Well, I'm sure you're giggling if you know how to speak Spanish, because Noche Blanca literally translates to White Night. I was there on White Night. This happens maybe once or twice a year. It's typically random times of the year, so people really don't know when it's going to happen. And I was there for the very last night of this festival. Guys, you can see my energy. I freaking loved it. This was one of the best nights of my life. Walking the streets, seeing all of these street vendors, learning about the culture, listening to the live music, having chocolate, yeah! It was just magnificent. And I was out until 3 a.m, dancing, eating street food, talking to people, watching productions. Even though they were in Spanish, it didn't matter. They were just wonderful. And to learn about the art scene in Merida, this was the night to educate yourself about all the art galleries, about all of the creative people that live in this place, that call it their home. It was an accepting place. There were pride things going on there too. It was just wonderful. Everyone was united at once in this one hub in the city, and it was just wonderful. And I'm so glad that I arrived in Merida at the time that I did to experience this incredible night of colour, of flair, of festivity. It was brilliant. It was very special, and I was very, very glad that I had that experience. I spent a couple more days in Merida. I met an incredible artist, Jennifer, who was at one of the art fairs, was at Noche Blanca, and we connected, and she gave me an incredible tour of one of their most significant buildings there in Merida and learnt all about the incredibly vibrant history of Mexico. It was seriously incredible. These murals were just so descriptive, powerful, so powerful. And then I went to San Francisco Campeche. This was an amazing experience, guys. I'm dead set serious. Erica was so apologetic. She's like, Michael, oh my God, the room I had set up for you, we got a booking very last minute. I didn't see it. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to move you to a different place. And I'm like, Erica, no issues, right? It's fine. And she moved me to one of her friend's places, and her friend was an architect, is an architect and a photographer. And eventually we got talking, and we talked all night about life, about his journey, about my journey. And he says at the end of it, he goes, I know someone really inspirational I need you to meet. His name's Danil. He's a social impact person. He does great work, charity work for the community. And he is a humanitarian. You need to meet him and his wife, Helen. You will not regret it. And I said, Jorge, the guy who I was staying with, let's do it. Erica said, I'm very busy. Let's do our filming in the very last day you're in Campeche, which opened up the schedule for me to do filming with these incredible art communities. And so I took my camera, I met Danil, I met his wife, Helen, and we went an hour and a half to a local Mayan community that do this incredible pottery. And so I sat down with 4 Mayan artists, and they spoke to me in Mayan tongue. I couldn't understand a word they were saying, nor could the people that were speaking Spanish there. But I got these incredibly vivid interviews with these artists, and it was so inspirational what they were saying. I got the essence of what they were saying just through their emotions, just through how they express themselves as artists. And the importance of this artwork is that this pottery has been passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation. There was an 80-year-old Mayan elder there who had been doing this artwork since she was a little girl. She'd learnt from the generation before her. And at the end of the interview, the lady Cecilia, she grabs my arm and looks me in the eyes. And she says something so heartfelt, so sincere to me. I don't know what she said, but I felt what she said. It was this deep gratitude, this deep appreciation for me as a foreigner coming into their place and trying to tell their story. It was a beautiful moment. It was a really beautiful moment. During the Day of the Dead, they have this special whistle that is used to call all the children that died before their time. And this whistle is made out of clay. And one of the whistles actually looked a lot like a kangaroo. And I said to the lady, I said, "Oh, that looks like a kangaroo. And she goes, "Oh, no, I'll make you a kangaroo." And so there she is, moulding, weaving, creating a kangaroo. And so I have a little kangaroo whistle with me that I'm carrying around. And it's a really sweet memory of my time there in Campeche. And then I got to interview Erica, and we had an amazing conversation together about her story, her impact in the art community there in Campeche, the kind of activism through art that she's doing for local creatives, particularly women who haven't yet found a creative space where they feel safe and where they feel heard. And Erica is doing all of this and more. And so we had an incredible interview together in her art studio. I got to stay in the place on the last night, and it was just so fitting that Erica and I did this interview together. She's very well connected in the community. She's very well respected in the Campeche community. And so to tell her story, to be given the privilege to be the person to amplify her story was something that I hold very dear to me, and something that I feel a really great responsibility and a really great honour to be able to be the person that can amplify her story. So that was a very beautiful moment to have that experience with Erica. And actually at Campeche, I get a message through Robin, who runs Actuality Abroad. The same program that I did my documentary work at in Guatemala back in 2016. We've continued to keep in contact, and Robin has continued to support me in so many of my creative endeavours. I mean, I can't thank Robin highly enough for all the work and all the time he has put aside for me to write reference letters, to connect me with like-minded individuals, and just to support me. And I've always appreciated the time I had in Guatemala making Cata Cota Cuenta, Every Drop Counts, about the incredible work Eco Filtro does. It was only fitting that he connected me with a program called Solutions Journalism Without Borders, about trying to highlight the great work, the importance of storytelling here in the region, with a hard journalism edge, but a journalism edge that ensures that there are solutions within the writing, solutions within the visual components, ensuring that the stories that have a solution in place, so the story doesn't just end there. And so I said, yes, let's do it. And so all of a sudden, my plans had completely changed. I'd spoke to a few people back in Australia. I said, "Oh, look, I'll be back in July. I'll be back in late June." And then all of a sudden, this opportunity in Guatemala popped up in Lake Atitlán. After Campeche, I booked a very long train ride, about a 6-hour train ride on the train Maya, to get from Campeche to Cancun, to get a flight out to Mexico City, to then get me into Guatemala City, to then begin teaching. I'm here in Guatemala. I'm here in Lake Atitlán, teaching visual storytelling with some incredible students, to now tell really impactful stories in both a solution-based journalism way, but also in a creative and visually appealing way. I get a message from Robin, my mentor, and someone who has been a real inspirational person in my life ever since I made that film in Guatemala back in 2016. And he says, "Michael, I would love you, if you can, to come on board and help me with our documentary outreach program in Mexico, in a place called San Miguel de Allende." And I said, "Robin, wow, man, are you serious?" And he goes, "Yes, I want you to come on board on the 19th of July and stay until August the 3rd, when our program finishes. The timing couldn't be better. And I said to Robin, yes, I'm in. And so I will now be supervising with Actuality Abroad in San Miguel, in Mexico, in the center of Mexico, I believe. And I will be helping with the 3 documentary projects that the incredible crew members will be working on over there. And I'll use my expertise in documentary filmmaking and social impact and working with a range of communities. And I'm going to put in my best effort to ensure that these stories are told in the best possible way. It's a dream come true, and it's just divine timing. Did I ever lose faith? I think if I did, I wouldn't have came all this way. I always had a deep belief, but I couldn't articulate it. But I could have never anticipated nor envisioned this kind of outcome and these kind of opportunities. It gives me a great opportunity to teach visual journalism. It gives me a great opportunity to connect with the incredible people here in Guatemala. And then it gives me a great opportunity to teach documentary for the very first time in a documentary outreach program. The program that inspired me to be a documentary filmmaker, to inspire me to become a social impact storyteller. That's what that Actuality media program, now Actuality Abroad, did. I touched on it in my video with my suit, and I'm touching on it now because it is a life-changing program. And so for me to become a supervisor, to be on that journey with Robin in Mexico, it is genuinely a dream come true. And to have this opportunity, it's something that I do not take for granted. So thank you, everyone that's made this opportunity possible. It's been a really hard slog to get to where I am. And at times, I didn't ever think something like this would happen. But to be where I am now, to be having the adventure that I'm having, to be learning what I'm learning, and connecting with the communities I'm connecting with, and making the impact that I'm making with the stories that I'm telling, I'll be forever grateful for this time, because it is changing my life in real time. And the version that I am right now, and the evolution that's happening, is very powerful. And so when I do return home to Australia, I will be a very proud version of myself. And to that, I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm excited to go back to Australia too, when this experience is concluded, because it'll be time to reconnect with family in person, because I miss them. It's been over a year now. It's been the longest time I've been away from them, and my friends and all of the people that have contributed heavily to my journey. It'll be wonderful to reconnect with all of them again. But they've been on this journey remotely, and I've felt their love every single step of the way. So it's a very exciting time. But I thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of In the Ballpark. Obviously, Sam and I talking footy has had to take a back seat for the last couple of weeks, because so many things have been changing for me here in Mexico, in Guatemala, in Central America. And so we will be talking footy again at some point. But for now, it's time to work hard and tell the stories that are really important. Love to you all. Thank you for your support. And don't just have a good night, have a Latin American night. Love to you all. We'll talk soon. Cheers.